Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Super2. Joining me today is Rasco of Rasco's Modern Life. Hello, Rasco.
Hey.
Hey, Rasco! What are we talking about today?
The Thing 2. Fan film sequel, complete film The Thing 2.
Okay, but I thought we were talking about a Halloween fan film.
Well, we were talking about a Halloween fan film, but some things went wrong. So, we couldn't find it on YouTube. But then, we decided to pick another fan film to review instead. So we picked The Thing 2. But then, I think I kind of found it in our Skype chat, the video that we were originally going to review that we think got pulled from the internet, but
No, it didn't get pulled. They put it as private for a couple days for some reason. It was so weird.
Oh, that's really weird. So, it was unprivated, I guess. But we had already kind of settled on this, so we decided to just review The Thing 2 sequel fan film thing.
Yeah, interesting. Just funny how that stuff works, and that's why you gotta watch as many fan films as you can, as quickly as you can, because these things do not last. There is no sense of permanence. In any case, I just want to say before we get into this, everyone that's listening, you can download episodes of Geeky Gentlemen, links in the description, and download this episode. New episodes are posted along with their posts on YouTube. You can download old episodes by request. Just leave a comment on the old episode. If you don't know where to find old episodes, there's a Geeky Gentleman playlist with every single episode of Geeky Gentleman we've ever done. You can go check that out and find an episode, leave a comment, request and download it. I'll upload it for you, yada, yada, yada. It's a whole thing, but that's okay. In any case, Rasco.
Yes.
So, spoiler alert. I've not seen The Thing.
Okay.
And, it's one of those things where, this is going to be tricky, it's one of those occasions where I feel like I've been spoiled on it, you know? Like, I already know the concept, I know that it's, more of a suspense thing, I know how the movie ends, I know everything about the movie, I just haven't ever gotten a chance to see the movie.
Yeah.
And so, it's one of those things where I don't think I'm really going to prioritize seeing it, but I understand that people like it.
Yeah.
So this was a bit of an odd watch for me. How'd you like it?
Well, I'm a huge fan of The Thing. It's one of my favorite movies. So, I get that this... Okay, so here, this is clearly an example of a bunch of people that really just... I think they love The Thing more than they were necessarily, focused on trying to do, a professional film. I get the sense that they were really trying to emulate The Thing specifically. They're coming at it from fans of The Thing more so than filmmakers.
Okay.
And in those aspects where I see that they clearly wanted to do some things to try to match the way the original Thing was created, when I'm looking at it from that perspective, I actually kind of find this pretty enjoyable, honestly. From just kind of this is that's cool. They're using the same types of techniques to create some of the special effects. They just obviously don't have some of the prosthetic and animatronic stuff that they had, or maybe they didn't even have animatronics. I'm not sure about the original Thing, but I know they use stop motion and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was fairly impressed by the effects work. We see the first time we see anything, it's that kid in the snow. And I was like, okay, so that's probably going to be the extent of their effects work. And not at all. It only goes up from there, and I was fairly impressed by that.
Yeah.
it certainly doesn't look real. You can, like, at the end they say, made with paper craft and liquid latex. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
I could have told you that. But at the same time, it's I guess I'd put it at, like, really fucking badass Halloween costume or decoration level.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, you can notice the seams. It would have helped if they shot more of it at night out in the open, because, like, I think those first two shots with the kids look really good, as opposed to the stuff in the warehouse.
Yeah.
And not just, like, you know, obviously the kid was easier than the stuff in the warehouse, but I feel the effects in the warehouse, just, they have naturally better lighting because they're all indoors, so just it looks less real. I also think that they do a little too much with the close-ups, and that kind of spoils some of the stuff. But it's still really, really well done for a fan film. I was pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, I also kind of liked how sometimes they, like, took the time to shoot it in a way that I actually kind of appreciate, where it's very, place the camera here in a interesting composition, and they would actually just, like, pull back and just, like, use longer takes instead of, like, trying to make it all, like, close up and I guess more modern in the way it's filmed, and it kind of, like, tries to emulate John Carpenter.
Yeah, I would say I think that the biggest issue this movie has isn't the effects or even the story. I think it's the pacing. The way that the movie's cut, I think it could be slightly re-edited to just be a little, I don't want to use the word quicker, but more brief, I guess, because there's just a lot of, like, lingering shots that I don't feel are really necessary. And, like, when it's on the gore or the cool horror stuff, I don't mind it so much, but there's, like, a lingering shot on him setting up the tent. And that just, you know?
Yeah.
I don't really feel that's necessary. And I've seen John Carpenter movies, and I agree, he does kind of linger, but not on just average, mundane stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was, when you things like that. Yeah, I get what you mean when you say that. I kind of like that stuff in movies. Movies that are, like, deciding to be slower, and I kind of like that, just that weird observatory style of, like, you get to see things and, like, we don't really explain why it's relevant, but it could be relevant later, and you're just kind of, like, looking at it. And I don't know, like, the thing about the movie, like, the actual real thing, is that it does things like that, where it's just, like, it will kind of linger on something, and it's very, I guess, reserved in that, like, it doesn't, like, spoon feed things to you. And there's, like, a giant plot point about the true, and, like, basically the ending of that movie leaves it as if it's, like, up to your interpretation. But if you pay attention, the ending of the original thing is actually not up to your interpretation.
Gotcha.
It's actually, it has a very definitive, like, yes, like, this is what we're telling you, but you have to pay attention to the clues, and the clues, it never comes out and it's like, this is a clue to figuring out what's truly going on. It's just, like, background stuff you can pay attention to, and you'll be like, okay, I know what's going on here at the end.
Yeah, I've heard about the whole thing with the beer bottle, and I thought it was interesting that they put the scene from the movie in this. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? Because that's something we've seen a couple times now.
What do you mean?
Like, how did you feel about the way they put the shot from the film, the last scene of the thing, into their fan?
Oh, so you mean, like, okay, so, like, they did that with the Alien fan film. And
yeah, and I think we've seen it once or twice outside of that, too.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, for this, it kind of works because it's calling itself Alien, or it's calling itself The Thing 2, not Alien. It's calling itself The Thing 2, and I like, on the internet, who knows, like, you might be like, oh, is it the sequel to, like, some other internet series called The Thing, and that's, like, the second in this, like, internet series, or what is this? And, like, by putting the ending to the first movie in front, it establishes, like, no, like, this is called The Thing 2 because we're a sequel to that movie. And that's kind of an old thing that movies used to do, where they would kind of, like, didn't, like, like Superman 2 for some reason. Like I always
Yeah,
checked how that
it
things like that.
replays the
like,
last scene of the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go on.
But I always thought things like that were kind of cool sometimes, and so I kind of like that it just puts that scene there. So it's like, yes, this is a sequel to this.
Okay, I guess my problem with it in this specifically is that with the let's call it the true ending, wherein the Thing is the black dude that drinks the beer.
Mm-hmm.
How does that make any sense with the way they set up this movie?
I think what it's just kind of implying it. So like, they say that there's a scene in the Thing where they're looking at like this cell of the Thing under a microscope, and they're seeing what it does, and they're like, okay, it eats other cells and then can like reproduce those cells and clone itself to look like that. And it's like this weird thing, and they're like, oh, so like this, like it's kind of like it's like kind of like a parasitic thing where if it gets on you, like even a single cell of it will start to like transform you into the Thing if it gets on you. So they were like, theoretically, how long would it take for this to spread all across the mainland if it got there? And they were like, about this much time. I think what they're saying is that at the ending of the movie The Thing, the guy who is the Thing in the ending just probably eats Kurt Russell's character. And then somehow that Thing gets to the mainland.
Well, see, that wasn't the impression that I got, because they have a sample that has been cryogenically frozen and fucking whatever. They have a sample that's been cryogenically frozen and left over from the lab that was destroyed.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that really works, because...
Oh, well, maybe they just found that sample and then they, like, who knows? Maybe Kurt Russell did beat the guy who was the Thing at the ending of the movie. I don't think that's relevant. Like, I think the thing is, like, somewhere along the line, a specimen of, like, a little bit of the cells from the Thing got to, like, the mainland somehow.
No, but what it specifically shows you how it got there is there was a sample of it cryogenically frozen, apparently in the first movie. And again, I haven't seen the movie, so I'll refer to your expertise. When they're investigating it under the microscope, do they ever save a sample of it and like freeze it or something?
Well, okay, so when did this movie come out? This movie came out
2009.
2009. So was that before the Thing prequel movie?
I have no idea.
Okay, so they made no, that was in 2011, I think, is when the Thing movie with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which was a prequel. So that movie was called The Thing, and you thought it was a remake, but when you went to go see it, it's actually a prequel. And see, The Thing starts with all of these people at this research facility go over to the Swedish research facility because they've lost contact or something like that. When they get there, they see all of the like fallout of a thing, of like pretty much what's going to happen to their facility. But you see that it's like they've been attacked by something and it's killed them all, and the whole facility's burning down, and there's all these people that are like morphed in this weird like deformed like goo substance and crap like that's all over them, and
Isn't that the one where they spoiled the entire plot of the movie if you speak Polish?
Yeah, kind of, maybe.
Okay.
And it's like you're watching it and you're like, oh, this is like cool. Like in the first Thing, and so like. What they don't realize is like that's what's going to happen to them now because they've brought the Thing into their research facility. And so like pretty much the same kind of events unfold for them where like the Thing starts taking over people's bodies and then it starts spreading and stuff like that. And pretty much what happens in this movie is the same thing that happens in both of those movies. But so if this movie came out before that prequel, then it could have been like, I think that they got the DNA substance from the Swedish research facility. And I don't think that the people in the movie The Thing were ever aware that they had saved it. But I think that this movie's like, yeah, see, those people, they had a little bit of it frozen, and they were saving it. And you just wouldn't know that because they don't search, like, the entire facility, like, top to bottom. So it's possible that could have been there. But this was before the prequel Thing movie happened. So, like, they were using that unexplored territory at that time to, like, explain where that cryogenically frozen Thing cell on ice was, I guess.
Okay, that actually makes sense then. I like that. I like that interpretation quite a lot. It's just one of those things. See, I'm trying not to use that word as much as possible unless I'm referring directly to the movie or the creature. It's one of those situations where it just feels confusing to someone who hasn't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is kind of confusing because of the whole like timeline of the thing, and explaining how the Thing from 2011 is a prequel to the Thing is also a completely confusing thing in itself. So, like, it's a big confusing thing.
You know what I want Existential Comics to do?
What?
Is a comic on Immanuel Kant and the Thing.
Okay.
Because Kant had his whole thing about the thing in itself.
Yeah.
And how you can never truly know what that is. And so, I think that'd be a hilarious comic strip. Anyway, philosophy jokes. Anyway, the other thing about this that I'm kind of iffy on, is I think there's some brilliance in the story, but I'm a little, or at least in the way the story's done, but I'm a little ish on some of the finer details about how things play out, or maybe it's some of the dialogue that just bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of just the overall story?
So this is a thing about the Thing that makes it kind of hard to do a sequel to the Thing, is that the Thing is such a good movie because of the situational horror that John Carpenter is known for creating really well. And to this, it's kind of just trying to recreate the same situational horror more than tell a new story.
Gotcha.
And so,
because I thought the idea to, okay, we're gonna cause the apocalypse, I thought that was a fairly cool thing to do. I was really impressed with that, and I liked the ambiguity of the ending of this. You sat through the credits and stuff, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the ambiguity of the ending and stuff too.
I think that, the thing about the Thing, and this is
Please
also
stop
something
saying
that
the Thing.
I like about Alien too, because these are two, like, they appeal to the same kind of situational horror in that they're really small, scary events that the stake of, like, the world actually relies on at the end. So it's like in the movie The Thing, they're like, if this creature escapes this facility and it gets to the mainland, the entire planet will be infected by this thing within like a day. Like,
gotcha.
And everyone will be gone. And so they have to like stop it. So like the fate of the world lies on these few people in this really small claustrophobic scenario. And I really like that about The Thing. So seeing the apocalypse happen, that's cool too. But at the same time, the fact that it's actually a really small event in the original Thing is what I like about that.
See, I don't know. I was really impressed by the way in which they were able to scale this, because, yeah, it's mainly just a small event, but you see the kind of horror. I love the scene when he's driving home, as silly as some of the radio announcers' voices are.
Yeah.
I really like the scene where he's driving home, and he just keeps hearing the news, and he's like, okay, I just gotta get home. I just gotta get home to my family. And then things just go wrong along the way. And then he becomes the monster. I like the hopelessness of it. That is just it's a really bleak, really truly scary thing, and I like that he just leaves that kid in the forest because he doesn't know. He really does take the advice of that character that he meets in the warehouse, as random and ill-fitting as that character is. I really like that he just kind of takes the advice, is just look out for yourself. Look, it takes his advice to a certain extent. Look out for yourself. If you have family, forget about them. Just look out for you. There's no telling. That character has that entire scene has problems, but I still like that he kind of just takes the selfish motivation, and even that doesn't save him. I don't know. I was really impressed by this. What do you think of that scene in the paint closet or whatever it was, the chemical closet?
That was cool.
I didn't care for it that much. I have the feeling it was the same actor playing both parts.
Okay.
Because the one dude's wearing a mask, and then at the end in the credits it's like, Eric, too many parts or something. So I have a feeling that's the same dude.
Okay.
But just the logic of that speech doesn't make much sense if he's not aware. Like that, it's hard to explain. That's the kind of speech you get in an apocalyptic horror movie where the world has been screwed for a while now,
yeah.
or at least a couple days, and everybody's
like
already aware of the scale. What?
Like Mad Max or like Walking Dead.
Yeah, like everyone's already aware of the scale. Whereas this guy, as far as we're led to believe, this shit's only been going on since last night. And this guy is just at this facility, so he has almost no reason to believe that the thing is spreading all over the world. So, yeah, I just... that dialogue felt really out of place, and it felt more like someone who'd seen the movie talking about it, as opposed to someone experiencing the events of the film.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But I did like the uncomfortableness of that scene. It's like, okay, we're just going to stay here and hide out, and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I liked that aspect of it. I just didn't like the dialogue.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think it's the most impressive aspects of it come from some of like the resourcefulness, and less so in the script.
What do you mean by the resourcefulness?
Like, I just like how much they were able to like try to do,
and
like I just like how clearly they had a vision and they just were trying anything they could to get close to it. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was very impressed by that gigantic monster that pops up out of the floor.
Yeah.
Less so by how it's destroyed,
Uh-huh.
and just generally how he gets out of the facility. I thought that was oddly plotted as well.
Yeah.
It's like the thing would attack anyone instantly except for him or the cameraman.
Yeah. That's true.
But that's just, you can tell these guys don't really, and this is going to sound mean, it's not meant to, they don't really understand what they're doing from a filmmaking aspect. They're just, like you said, fans of the thing, and they want to make a cool thing movie, and I can appreciate that too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's...
Go on.
I was going to say, like, I think it's pretty cool how, like, actually kind of creepy the environment was, because the thing about like the movie The Thing is that like the environment's not that creepy until you realize how like stranded you are there. And like this, you're not quite as stranded because you're in civilization, but it still is a creepy environment, I guess. And that works too. Like that's the thing about The Thing, is it just makes environments creepy when you can't trust anyone.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was impressed by that. I liked the, I think my favorite part of this is just the drive home, though. That's just so damn unsettling.
Yeah. The
way everything's just falling apart as he tries to get home as quickly as he can, and the way they, I can tell you, they didn't have cop friends and get them to just turn on their sirens and sit around. They went out during like a snowstorm or, listened to police scanners and went out and filmed cop cars.
Yeah.
That was really clever.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
That was pretty clever. Yeah, that was another example of resource.
Yeah, and then the way but yeah, it is resourceful guerrilla filmmaking. I also like they probably just bought, a police officer costume at a Halloween store and then just had one of their friends or the director maybe get in the costume and like be silhouetted and walk up to the camera.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed by that. The composition of the digital and practical effects was definitely amateur, but better than anything I or my friends could have done in 2009. So
yeah,
I'll give them credit for that. They were definitely ahead of me back then, so maybe even now.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Just dig into me all you want.
Suck.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite effect?
Okay, hold on. Let me think about what my favorite... I really liked... Okay, there's two moments that I thought were, like, really cool. I really liked the first moment with the kid, where he's got the really long thing hands, and he makes that creepy, like, thing roar.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's kind of like a scene from the first Thing. There's a part where one of the people is trying to escape, and they've been infected, but they've yet to, like, really encounter the Thing in a person who's, like, up and alive. And, like, they catch him, and he turns around, and he just goes, like... And it's like this really chilling scream, and they just took that from the movie and they put that in that scene there. His hands were just cool looking and creepy and bloody, so I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. That's a Thing moment right there. And then I really liked the effect when he just went down that hallway and he found, like, that weird carcass thing that had been, like, attached to the other half of the carcass on the other side of the door with the other guy who has, like, the Thing tubes going into his stomach.
Mm-hmm.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that one, I just felt they got too close up on it, so it stopped looking, it just went too far in asking me to suspend my disbelief.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But I really liked the scene after that, where the guy that was on the other side of the garage punches through and just comes through and just looks fucking nightmarish.
Yeah.
That was the best shot effect, too, I think, because it was just far away enough from the camera that it looked pretty decent. The actor and the stuff could have been moving just a little bit faster, but ultimately that could have even been fixed by just slightly speeding up the film.
Yeah.
I really, really liked that scene. That was just the creep, because it looked like his skull just melted or something. Oh, that was great. The Thing is this weird cross, I think, between horror and gore. It's like the gore isn't so excessive that it's just, torture porn, like something like Hostel. But it's definitely a step above your average just, okay, we're going to make a scary, like, horror movie with a bunch of jump scares and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got just enough of that, oh, that looks really freaky.
Yeah, no, it's disturbing to look at.
Yeah. What else can we say about this movie? What the hell was up with the dude walking to the camera and, like, his face just got all lens flary?
Don't know.
Okay, I was wondering if you had any explanation of that. Did you like the end credits, UFO takes off scene?
That was kind of cool.
Yeah?
If you've seen The Thing and Who Goes There, something like that. There's like a short story called Who Goes There that The Thing is based off of, but The Thing is also a remake of another movie called, like, The Thing from Another Planet or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And The Thing from Another Planet is kind of similar to the original Thing, but it's like a loose remake of the short story Who Goes There, and then The Thing's the remake of that. And
so it's a remake of a remake.
And then there's a prequel to that remake that kind of advertised itself as a remake. And then we have this sequel that was made before that prequel that advertised itself as a remake was made. So it's just a great continuity, right?
Alien vs. Predator, eat your heart out.
That should be a thing. Alien versus Thing versus Predator. That would be cool.
No, what I'd rather see is Alien versus Predator versus RoboCop versus Terminator.
That would be awesome as shit as well. That would be really cool.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
RoboCop versus Terminator.
Well, actually, I'm reading a comic right now that, like, literally the title of the comic is Judge Dredd versus Predator versus Alien.
Oh my god.
I thought you'd get a kick out of that.
Versus Chucky versus Leprechaun.
Versus Freddy versus Jason versus Michael Myers.
Versus Candyman.
Okay, well, we've got to the point of just general silliness. So let's go ahead and do a rating. Rasco, what do you rate The Thing 2 fan film?
I think I'm going to give this, just because I kind of like, for what it is, I think it's really successful at just kind of being like a random like fan project for a movie that you really like. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. 3.5 out of 5. Chests that turn into freaking mouths and eat your hands.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you. 3.5 is I think a really fair score for this, because it's not exceptional, but there's nothing, wholly bad about it. I think it was a smart decision to kill off the child early on.
Ian is pro infanticide.
Yeah, just generally, kid gets out of line, just murder him. You won't have to deal with that problem anymore. Let's see here. I'll give it 3.5 out of 5. Really bad explosion overlays. That's maybe a little mean, but those did look pretty awful.
Ian's a hater.
Yeah, but there are better green screen explosions online, so, even in 2009 there were better ones, so yeah. Okay. Rasco, next week.
Yes.
We will be discussing, but I hesitate to call it like a fan film because it's just inspired by, but that's okay because it was a loose canon anyway. We're going to be talking about Harbinger. POV horror Lovecraft short film.
Okay.
And it's only about 9 minutes, and it's all in first person perspective.
Okay.
So, should be a really unique...
Hardcore Henry.
Yeah, there we go. Alright, should be a unique fan film for us. Alright, everyone, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the Walrus.
Cuckoo. And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.
Ha 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 ha!